Hello Moto GP enthusiasts. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Marco Rigamonti, Marc Márquez's technical chief, framed the Hungarian victory as proof of class but also as a reminder. The rider cannot yet sustain maximum effort lap after lap. The report stresses endurance limits, targeted strengths, left-hand corners, and a cautious, data-driven recovery plan from Ducati. Marc Márquez's victory at Balaton Park was more than just another addition to his glittering résumé. It was a symbolic moment that placed him firmly among the sport's immortals. By reaching 100 Grand Prix wins, Marquez joined Giacomo Agostini and Valentino Rossi in the rarefied company of triple-digit winners, a feat that speaks not only to his talent but also to his resilience in the face of repeated injuries and setbacks. His words after the race: "I've done more than I expected," carried the weight of a career defined by both triumph and struggle. Pecco Bagnaia's assessment after Balaton Park was blunt. The Honda RC213V currently owns the launch phase of MotoGP. For a rider who has built his reputation on precision and consistency, admitting Ducati's start package has regressed compared to 2024 is telling. His comments highlight how the start, once a relatively straightforward skill, has become a technological arms race involving electronics, ride height devices, and torque management. In modern MotoGP, the first 100 meters can dictate the entire complexion of a race. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news updates. Marquez delivered a headline result: pole, sprint and GP win. But the garage sees it as a high-quality snapshot rather than a full recovery. He can still produce blistering laps, but not repeatedly across a race distance because of reduced arm strength and stamina. He's not at 100% to use all his strength for every lap. Manage the rider, build endurance, and avoid overinterpreting one favorable weekend. Rigamonti described a pattern. Marquez can push intensely for short stints, a handful of laps in practice or bursts in the race, but then needs to back off. He often used selective corner pushes to probe limits rather than sustained full-throttle runs. Wheelie control under acceleration remains a visible weakness because it demands sustained upper body force. He could do 20 laps, but he only pushed hard for 4 or 6. That selective pushing explains how Marquez can still set track records and win single events while remaining physically constrained over a full weekend. The limitations trace back to the October crash and subsequent surgeries. Rigamonti recalled Jerez as the turning point when Marquez realized training alone wouldn't restore race endurance, prompting further intervention. Even after surgery, the team cannot predict the rider's new baseline, a new 100%, or how it will compare to his pre-injury peak. Surgical success is only the start. Rebuilding muscular endurance, neural control and race repeatability is a months-long process that must be balanced against championship demands. Balaton's anti-clockwise layout and left-hand bias reduced stress on Marquez's injured side and played to his strengths. Combined with a tire window that favored a late race charge, the circuit created ideal conditions for a rider who can still deliver short, decisive bursts. Rigamonti warned that more physical tracks like Brno or Assen will be tougher tests of repeatability. Expect Ducati to target circuits that minimize repetitive strain while continuing rehabilitation work between rounds. Ducati's approach is pragmatic: protect the rider, prioritize measured gains, and treat each race as a controlled experiment in workload and recovery. The immediate goals are to increase lap-to-lap stamina, improve wheelie control through setup and electronics, and monitor how rivals evolve, because even a fully recovered Marquez will face stiffer competition than in past seasons. Tactical race selection, conservative mileage in practice, and incremental conditioning will define the coming months. Balaton confirmed that Marquez remains an elite performer even when not at full strength, a worrying prospect for rivals. But Ducati's internal assessment is cautious. The victory is a milestone, not a guarantee. The true test will be repeatability across physically demanding circuits and whether rehabilitation can restore the endurance needed to contest a full championship campaign. Marquez's Hungarian triumph was the product of tactical intelligence, circuit characteristics that suited his condition, and his trademark ability to deliver under pressure. He ranked the Balaton win among his most treasured, alongside Austin 2013, his first Moto GP victory, and Valencia 2012, where he stormed from last on the grid to win his final Moto 2 race. "I've done more than I expected." The victory was historic, but also practical. It boosted his championship standing and reminded rivals that even a physically compromised Marquez remains a threat. Reaching 100 wins is not just a number, it is a statement of longevity and adaptability. Marquez has conquered multiple eras of MotoGP machinery, from the early Honda RC213V battles against Pedrosa and Lorenzo to his current Ducati campaign. The Balaton win symbolized his ability to reinvent himself after injuries that many thought would end his career. Milestones like this reshaped the narrative in the paddock. Rivals see not just a rider returning to form, but a champion capable of rewriting expectations even after years of adversity. Marquez admitted that the comeback was harder mentally than physically. The shoulder injury sustained in Indonesia last year required surgery to relieve nerve compression, leaving him uncertain about his future. At Balaton, the anti-clockwise layout with its left-hand bias reduced strain on his weaker side, allowing him to maximize his strengths. Yet, he openly acknowledged that his condition remains fragile. Coming back to win again after the last injury was hard on the physical side but more hard on the mental side. MotoGP riders often speak of the mental toll of recovery, the fear of re-injury, the frustration of lost rhythm, and the challenge of trusting the body again. Marquez's ability to push through these doubts is as significant as the win itself. Marquez's race was a masterclass in patience and precision. He managed the medium rear tire carefully, waiting for it to reach peak performance before unleashing his pace. His attacks were timed with surgical accuracy, reminiscent of his early career when he could switch from restraint to aggression in a heartbeat. The Hungarian GP echoed his legendary Valencia 2012 charge, where he climbed from 33rd to victory, proving that his instinct for timing remains intact. This balance of restraint and aggression is what defines Marquez at his best. A rider who knows when to wait and when to strike. The win moved Marquez to 5th in the standings, cutting into Marco Bezzecchi's lead and reigniting talk of a possible title challenge. Yet both rider and team remain cautious. Circuits like Brno and Assen will test his endurance more severely, and rivals such as Bezzecchi, Di Giannantonio, and Acosta continue to evolve. Ducati's strategy is to consolidate fitness and consistency rather than chase immediate glory. The championship remains wide open. If Marquez can sustain form across diverse tracks, the narrative could shift from comeback to genuine title bid. Balaton Park will be remembered as a milestone weekend, emotional, historic, and tactically brilliant. It proved that Marquez can still win at the highest level even while rebuilding strength, but the bigger question is sustainability. Can he transform flashes of brilliance into a sustained campaign? Can his body withstand the grind of a long season? For now, the 100th win is both a celebration of past greatness and a signal of unfinished business. The next rounds will determine whether this was a turning point in his recovery or a singular high point in a career already defined by resilience and relentless pursuit of victory. Bagnaia believes Ducati has lost ground in the launch department, while Honda has engineered a clear advantage. He pointed to wheel spin and wheelie behavior as the main culprits, with Ducati experimenting on the electronics side to recover lost ground. When you are close to a Honda at the start, literally you will lose the place. In a championship where overtaking is increasingly difficult due to aerodynamics and tire management, the start has become a decisive weapon. A superior launch can instantly convert a second-row grid slot into a podium-contending position. Honda's RC213V has demonstrated explosive acceleration off the line, allowing riders to gain positions before the chaos of Turn 1. Luca Marini's practice benchmark, a sub 2.0 second 0 to 100 km/h sprint, underscored the effectiveness of Honda's launch package. For a manufacturer struggling in overall race competitiveness, this edge at the lights is a rare but valuable strength. A clean getaway not only boosts track position but also reduces exposure to first-lap incidents, which are often triggered by riders jostling for space in the midfield. Bagnaia admitted Ducati's starts have regressed since 2024. The Desmosedici still wheelies aggressively and suffers from wheel spin, robbing it of initial drive. Electronics tweaks trialed at Mugello showed promise, but the problem remains unresolved. Understanding why is not easy, but, on electronics side, was better. Launch performance is a delicate balance. Torque delivery must be aggressive enough to maximize acceleration but controlled enough to prevent wheel spin. Ride height devices, clutch mapping, and rider input all interact, meaning small misalignments can produce big losses. Ironically, Bagnaia's compromised start at Balaton worked in his favor. Extra wheel spin kept him out of the Turn 1 pileup triggered by Jorge Martin, allowing him to inherit track position and secure a podium. It was a reminder that start behavior can sometimes protect as much as it hinders. Moto GP is full of paradoxes. What looks like a weakness can occasionally become an advantage, depending on the chaos unfolding around it. Ducati's engineers will continue refining launch electronics, clutch settings, and ride height device calibration. Expect more practice start sessions and incremental software updates aimed at restoring the edge Ducati enjoyed in 2024. For Bagnaia, improving starts is critical. His race pace remains strong, but poor launches leave him vulnerable in the opening laps. If Ducati can restore its start advantage, it will allow riders to exploit the bike's mid-race strengths without first having to claw back positions lost at the lights. Starts have become a battleground in MotoGP, as important as tire choice or fuel mapping. Honda's current supremacy forces rivals to respond, while Ducati's regression highlights how fragile launch performance can be when electronics, hardware, and rider technique fall out of sync. For Bagnaia, solving the start puzzle is essential to convert podiums into wins. The next rounds will reveal whether Ducati's tweaks can neutralize Honda's advantage, or whether the RC213V continues to dictate the grid's opening seconds. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!